everyone, and welcome back to A+ Life, where we teach teens and teachers how to live a life that feels like an A+. This month we're talking all about relationships, and usually when we hear that word we tend to think about falling in love, significant others, Pinterest wedding boards, and Nicholas Sparks books. But I think sometimes we forget that the word relationship just means that there is a connection between one thing and another. Romantic love doesn't have to be a part of the equation. Which is why today's topic is about a different type of relationship, and that is friendship. And specifically, we're going to talk about creating healthy friendships. Now, I'm gonna be real and say that people who know me really well know that I might not be the best candidate to talk about friendship. And you're all probably thinking, what? And it's not because I'm not a friendly person, it's just because for much of my life I have struggled with friendships. When I was young, I loved to perform and I really loved getting attention. So I would go to crazy lengths to get people to notice me. I excelled in school, I was big into choir and theater, I won a bunch of awards. I would even do super geeky things like learn all of the presidents in order and then recite them in everyday conversation. Or I'd use big words that weren't even real sometimes just to show off in class. I was just a little bit extra. But anyway, the reason I loved getting attention was because it made me feel admired. And to me, being admired and being famous, it meant that everybody liked me. Then I was always let down because I'd get picked last for kickball, or nobody would ask to be my partner, or I would just feel really lonely. It was like when I made a spectacle of myself, that admiration would last for a minute. But when the curtains went down, I didn't have many close friends. When I got to middle school, things got worse. I really wanted to be friends with the sporty, popular crowd. And for a while, I was friends with this one girl. Or at least I thought we were friends because she would talk to me a lot. But when we talked, it was basically the girl calling me names or making fun of my clothes or telling me that I was awkward. And I was so obsessed with being popular that I just dealt with it. But inside, my self-esteem was melting away. And when I got to high school, I was so low that I started retaliating when people made fun of me. I became a bully, and I indirectly cyberbullied people by creating this blog and writing about them without using their names. And when people found out about that blog, my friend count dropped lower than ever. I had thought that I was being funny, but I quickly learned just how much damage words can do. Now, over time, I was able to see that what I was doing was really wrong, and so I put a lot of effort into becoming a more compassionate, kind person instead of somebody who was on top of a throne. And through that experience, I really learned who my true friends are, because the ones who stuck with me through that are still the most important people in my life today. I think that a lot of teens struggle with the same thing that I did, which is that sometimes we confuse love with admiration. I thought that I had friends, but what I really had were fans. So even if I was entertaining for a minute, once that minute was over, people had no reason to stay. Because I didn't understand that in order to create long-lasting bonds, you have to give respect and admiration to other people. I think another thing that teens should know is that friendship should not hurt you. Duh. Now this seems obvious, but when I was so obsessed with becoming popular, I became blind to the fact that a lot of those people were really hurting my feelings. I thought that if they were talking to me, that meant that we were friends, and if they picked on me, that was just their sense of humor. But that idea was deflected by the last thing that I learned, which is that real friends do not tear you down, they build you up. I have 3 friends who I consider to be my honorary sisters, and 1 honorary brother. And the reason that I value them so much is because no matter what pile of crap I step into, no matter what traumatic situation I imagine myself into, and no matter what ridiculous thing comes out of my mouth, they have shown me that time and time again, they are not going to judge me. They are going to listen. And I think that that is the basis of a healthy friendship. It's a judgment-free partnership with laughter, listening ears, and love. And teenagers should understand that the people who we surround ourselves with have a very powerful effect on our well-being. So my A+ tips for this week are how we can cultivate strong and healthy friendships, and how adults can promote this in our schools and homes. Tip number 1 is for teenagers. Learn the difference between admiration and love. We all want to be the star of the show, but fans are not the same thing as friends. Fans will be there to see your glory, but friends will stick around when the lights go out and times get tough. Friends don't care how successful you are. They just care that you give them the same amount of love that they give to you. The second tip is for adults. Encourage your teen to spend time with supportive people. I realize that a lot of teens get pretty defensive about choosing their own friends. And it's never fun to be the overbearing adult. But if we can show teens that the people who we hang out with are the ones who shape our ideas, values, beliefs, and our lives, we can show them which friends are worth hanging on to for the long haul. And I think a great way to demonstrate this to teens is to show them the movie A Walk to Remember. Now, any adult knows that this is the cheesiest movie of all time. And I'm from Wisconsin, so I know cheesy things. But just to give you a little synopsis, the lead character in the movie, his name is Shane, he starts off by hanging out with the wrong crowd and he gets himself into trouble. And as punishment, Shane has to start tutoring kids after school. And that is where he meets Jamie, who is a star student, and helps him re-evaluate his actions and become a mild-mannered, strong individual. So even if it's a little bit hokey, that movie really shows the value of hanging out with constructive people. My last tip is for everybody, and it's that in order to gain friends, we have to give respect. Now, I don't know a lot about life, but I do know that people tend to like nice people. So we need to realize that playfully picking on others isn't playful at all, and it can really hurt their self-esteem. This isn't rocket science, but the fastest way to make good friends is to be a good friend. So be kind and be genuine and help people see the best in themselves. And just maybe, you'll find your best self. That's all we have time for today. There will be no video next week, but pay attention to the A+ Life blog because I'll be posting some extra resources where you can find out more about creating healthy relationships. So thank you so much for watching, and as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and have an A+ day.